Hey everybody, and welcome to the Growth Experience Podcast. I am your host, Chris Dye. Our hope is that by listening to this podcast, you realize that you have a gift. And by believing in your gift, you can uncover your purpose and have vision for your life. Whether you're listening in your car, at home, or watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in, and let's go! What's up, everybody? Episode 32 of the Growth Experience Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Dye. Man, I'm so excited about this show, about our guest today, and we'll introduce him in just a moment. I do want to remind you that this episode is sponsored by Community Land Title. Community Land Title is a full-service land title and escrow settlement provider here to protect your real estate investments. When you work with their knowledgeable team, you will be guided through the process in a transparent and timely way. Literally just got off the phone with my title attorney that I use. We're about to make an almost 2-hour trek to southeastern Kentucky to do a closing on Friday. So when I say that they genuinely care about the agent, the client, and the transaction all the way around, I am not lying. So if you're a real estate agent that needs a title company and you want to give a new one a shot, highly recommend Matthew Purdom and the team at Community Land Title in Louisville, Kentucky. They will go anywhere, as I just stated. So I'm just going to dive right on into it because I've been waiting for this for like a couple months. And so our guest today, new agent, not new, but new to the network, real estate agent, Joey Hamilton. Hey! Yeah, man.
What's up? I'm super happy to be here, dude. I'm excited. We have a lot to discuss and a lot to talk about and just kind of dive into what we are beginning the foundation of, which is awesome.
Yeah, man. And that's the coolest thing is, I talked to the team in air quotes because it's not a traditional real estate team over the last couple weeks. And I said, actually it was the last couple months, like I said at the beginning, but I said, hey, I got this guy and we've been chatting.
Yep.
And I genuinely think he may come over here. And if so, this is what he's going to do. And it's going to be really exciting. And so we'll get into that kind of towards the end. But really quickly, I do want you to talk about just you, who you are, just kind of like your spiel that you gave to everybody over here at the network. And then we'll dive into your career and then ultimately why you chose EXP and to partner with us. And so if you wouldn't mind kicking us off, tell us about Joey Hamilton.
Absolutely, man. A lot of you guys watching probably do know me or see me in the real estate world or maybe in teaching world even because before I got into real estate, which was in 2019, I was a middle school teacher. I taught science, right, of all subjects. I
was such a turd in middle school.
Oh, dude, it was. Well, obviously, I'm not doing that anymore, right? So I taught science to sixth graders, 11-year-olds going through their 11-year-old stuff, and teaching was amazing. As you can imagine, relationships with kids. I mean, everything around the student and their families, hands down, favorite part. You can't put a value on that.
Sure.
But it gets to a point when you're in any job, not just teaching, any job where you start getting the Sunday scaries, I like to call them. Like, that week's coming up and you just feel like I don't want to go to work. Here I am in the greatest country in the world and I don't want to go do my job. Like that's how I started feeling. So I like to put this plug in there for my dad. Called my dad and I was like, man, I'm really not feeling the teaching thing. Like I just said, I love the kids. Wasn't really a money thing either, It just wasn't doing it for me anymore. So I had to find something else. My brain's very ADHD, so being same class 8 times a day, same subject 5 days a week, it just got old really fast. So fast forward a little bit, left teaching. That day on the call with my dad, he said, hey, he's like, dude, you're young still. He said, you either need to leave right now, go do something else, you got the time, or suck it up and be a teacher.
Yeah, wow.
And I said, well, walked in the office the next day and peaced out. Yeah. And then I went home and told my wife. So
yeah. You didn't even tell her first?
Did not tell her, dude.
I didn't know that.
That's how I bought my last investment house, too. Yeah. So that's how our marriage works.
0 out of 10, do not recommend that at home.
No, do not do that. I'm sorry. It had to happen at the moment. But no, so I left teaching, which was, again, such an amazing experience. And honestly, before, where I was at or even coming here, my big job search, I would say, was the two big things. How can I work with families at a very close level, get to know their kids, get to know their background, what they do, form relationships. Some of my good friends now are clients or past clients, which is, I know you experienced that too. And
it's the best.
Oh, it's an awesome feeling. Yeah. So being able to hunt down a profession where I was able to be a part of that relationship side of things. And, we don't want to bring up money all the time, but at the end of the day, when you work your tail off teaching, 80 hours a week, right, to make a very minuscule salary. I mean, it's just how teaching's set up. So the other reason I wanted a different job was, yes, be a part of people's lives, relationships, all that good stuff, but also the amount of work I put into something, I am compensated for that amount of work. Yeah. So real estate's the beautiful marriage of still being an educator, educate clients, coworkers, friends, everybody about real estate, and then I also get paid to do that. Yeah. And that comes all on the back end. You do all the fun stuff, and then every now and then you get a paycheck, right? Mean, it's very, very cool job. Yeah. So that's where I went from teaching into real estate. I was at a different brokerage, awesome, amazing brokerage. Cut my teeth there, basically. Yeah. Part of with some other people, cut my teeth there as well, and just felt, like you alluded to earlier, felt the need. It was ready to kind of jump out and go solo and leave the nest to an extent and flap my wings and kind of go do my own thing. And and you and I got together, and here we are. So teacher turned realtor.
Yeah, I'm going to slow us down just for a second. Yeah. So a lot of times people think that sales or commission income, like they feel the pull to do it, but they feel like it's risky. Right. And so what I'm hearing from you and what I can equate to as well is that when you know that you're going to show up every day, it's not no risk because you're just betting on yourself. Right?
Dude, absolutely.
So you took that risk and you saw it as an opportunity. Yep. Right? You burned your boats. You said, I'm going all in. I did the same thing. And you said, I'm going to make this happen for myself and for my family and for our future together after you told your wife. Right. That's it. Quit your job.
That's definitely it in a nutshell. It's kind of my real estate mantra, right? It's the amount of work you put into something, like any job, really. That's what you're going to see come out of it. Same with being a dad. The amount of work I put in as a dad is how my household's going to react and how my family's going to be in our dynamic. So it's like that in real estate as well, which I love about it is, if you're, I hate to say back against the wall, but that's kind of what it was for me when I jumped in. Nobody in my family's in real estate. No friends are in real estate. Yeah. Nobody I knew was in real estate. So when I left teaching and went into real estate, that's exactly how I felt. It was like, okay, I have to make money for my family, and I have to do well. Right. So, we may dive into this a little bit later, but there were some weeks I was working 80 hours a week, I bet. I mean, no question. Yep. Just to really rocket launch my business, put rocket jets on it, and be able to get the goodness from those long weeks and hours later in my career, right? Promise my wife that, hey, bear with me a few months, few weeks, let me get rolling. It's going to pay off in the long run. And luckily now it has. Our family's in an awesome place and everything's great at home. So really paid off. But dude, yes. Back against the wall feeling. I oddly love that feeling because.
Right, me too.
Yeah, you know how it is.
ADHD people work better under pressure.
Dude, 100%.
Without a doubt. Like, I've got to feel the weight. And then I'm like,
that's
all
it.
Right,
that's it.
It's time to go.
That's it. 10-page paper due at midnight. Start at 8 p.m.
Yep. I just did that 2 nights ago.
Exactly.
So exactly what you're talking about.
That's it. I love that thing. Not everybody loves that, right? We got to put a caveat in there. Yeah. Not everybody loves that, and I think that's okay because real estate is you're a business owner, right? Whether you're here at with this group or you're at a different brokerage or wherever you're at, you're at your own business. So. You can line that up in a way where you can kind of plan things out, or you can, do it in a way where, hey, this has to work for me and I need to make it work. So I like both paths, but it's a good feeling.
No, I love that. One of the things I do want to point out as well, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to have you at the network, is because you're such a high producing agent. You put a lot of work into your business, but you also are not going to let your family suffer because of that. And that's one of the things that, we can relate to. I talk about the 5 T's, and tree as being one of them. And that's your family, that's your friends, your relationships. And so when we met and, I even sat down and spoke with your wife and, I got the feeling that, having you at that time transitioned from a team to a solo agent at your previous brokerage, she was making sure Mama Bear was letting me know that, like, hey, this is going really well right now. Is there anything that's going to shake that up?
Right.
And so I appreciate that so much about you and inviting me into your home and seeing your family. And that's one of the things I talk on the podcast about all the time.
For sure.
It's one of the things I talk to our agents about. And what's cool is, basically you have this idea of you attract what you are. And when I kind of looked at my situation similarly and said, man, I'm putting all of this stuff in front of my family. I'm putting literal strangers. Now, there's a degree of getting started, creating the friction to be successful.
Absolutely.
But then if you live there, a lot of times you hear people that have a lot of success in their careers, that falls to the wayside. Their family falls to the wayside.
100%, man.
I can appreciate that about you. It's one of the things that I knew from you the moment that I met you. And we got licensed in the same year, 2019, both going on 5 years of real estate. So, man, so awesome. So give us a glimpse of your actual real estate experience over the last 4 years for you now.
So, I mean, a lot of you guys listening probably, and all of us here, know what real estate was like the past few years, right? So when Chris and I got licensed, it was, 3 months before COVID, 4 months before COVID, something like that. So, we get our license, or me specifically, I don't speak to Chris's start, but got my license in 2019 toward the end. And like I mentioned, worked really hard, putting in the hours, putting in the time, meeting a lot of people. And what do you know, March hits and... the world pauses, quite literally. So at that point, in a 100% commission job, which I've just started, we were freaking out, man. We were freaking out about that. So it kind of goes back to what we started with the whole back against the wall. It was more of a mindset of, okay, there might be a global pandemic going on, but you best believe I was showing houses with nylon gloves, hair nets, and booties on my feet.
Booties
what I mean?
Mask.
You remember that, man?
You had virtual showings.
Virtual showings.
Yep.
We had it all going on. We had I had one house, I had to Germex our hands every doorknob we touched. I mean, it was intense. So it was kind of my beginning of my journey was kind of nuts because it was nothing like any agent, any brokerage, anybody, period.
Had experience.
Nobody had experience doing that. Nobody. You got these big dogs, international leaders of real estate. What are they going to tell you?
Right.
They don't know either. This is crazy. It's brand new. So I feel like I'm very adaptable. I think teaching did that for me, honestly. Okay. So being able to control a classroom and kind of keep things moving for 190 days a year in a row. I think bringing that over to real estate allowed me to navigate the initial COVID market, especially the first few months when I was just getting started. So, fast forward after COVID, the dust settled, and as you guys I keep looking at the mic like it's a camera. I can't look at so a little red light here. So as COVID became more normal, I'll call it, and real estate market, again, most of you guys know listening probably, real estate market went bananas, even more so than the beginning of the year.
You crushed it, didn't you, 2020?
I did have a great 2020. So I will share this, my very first year in real estate, again, first deal closed, I think, late January of 2020.
Okay.
So the year of 2020, that 12-month span, I was almost rookie of the year at my brokerage. There's a little technicality there, but
we'll let it slide.
You know who you are. You know who you are. I hope she's watching. So there was a little technicality there, but my very first year of real estate, I sold 45 houses.
That's awesome, dude.
All on the buy side, not a single listing. Yeah. So that's a little, if you don't know much about real estate, buyers are a little bit more time consuming strictly because you have to drive. I mean, that's the big reason. So,
and you could have, correct me if I'm wrong, could you have had more homes sold? Not saying anything negative here.
Right.
But just curious, did you have people approach you about listing?
Absolutely. I probably, the previous team I was on, we had a very kind of open pot, right? Of, hey, we're all going to work together, use leads together. So in that particular team, sometimes I would get handed a buyer, sometimes I would hand over a listing. So at the end of the year, it kind of equals pretty close to the same, I would say. But yes, that same year probably handed off, quote unquote, 5 to 10 listings probably, just by proxy and people I was helping buy, and vice versa. They also helped me on that end too. So, but the big 2020 year went over. I had an awesome year. You know, I'll talk income a little bit. My goal that year was to double my teaching income, right? So I left teaching and went into a field I've never been in, and that's how much faith I had in myself, honestly. I told my wife that. I said, we're going to, at minimum, double what I made last year as teaching, or else I shouldn't have left teaching.
Right.
So luckily I was able to do that first year, and every year after that's been just even better. I've learned new things, put my work ethic in different pieces of my business. So I've pretty much seen it all. I've worked with a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers. My team experience at the other brokerage, we had to name brokerages. I don't know if most people are going to know. So I was at Keller Williams Louisville East, and again, amazing brokerage. Yeah. So when I was over there with that brokerage, just up until recently, we saw everything there. With the team I was on, we saw everything. So I'll never forget one of the great closing attorneys in the city. I won't name because we are sponsored by a closing attorney. But another awesome attorney in the city came out to me after a closing one day, and he goes, "It's like I was year 2 probably," and he goes, "Man," he goes, you're weird." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "We had a really messy closing, right? Preface this: we had a super messy, like 2 hour long closing. Nobody was agreeing, all that good stuff." So afterwards, he came up to me. He goes, "You're just weird, man." And I asked him why, and he goes, "In that room," he said, "you would have thought you've been doing real estate for 25 years.
Wow.
Just the way you kind of handled, the objections, the people. That's what we're people, we're people. So that alone right there, I'll never forget that day, because that person is a close friend of mine too. And I remember leaving there like, man, that really means a lot to me. Like, because I really work hard with real estate. So
you care a lot about people and your clients.
1 trillion%. 1 trillion%. I have a running joke. My wife all the time jokingly is like, "Oh, what's the commission on this house?" I'm like, "No clue. I'll tell you when we close. I don't know."
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Yeah, because
I've got to go in and check our systems that the guy on the wall, Will, the people that watch the show, they know Will's on the wall.
Yeah, whatever.
He does all of our numbers for us, and I'm like, "Hey, what am I supposed to make?"
Yeah, what am I making?
I don't even know.
That's exactly
half the time.
And that, dude, and to me, that's the beautiful marriage of doing something you love, right? That's go talk to NFL players. They don't know how much money they make in a game. They just know we love playing football, and I get a fat check at the end of the year. So that's what I love about real estate. And to end your answer to your question, I've honestly seen it all. I feel like, from investments to listings to buying. We may get to this later, but I'll plug it here. I personally own 4 investment properties. So one's with a syndication with some other guys I'm friends with, but the other 3 are all solo on my own. And real estate, luckily, has given me the opportunity to not only learn how to be a real estate investor, because that's kind of my retirement, end of the day, not only learn how to be a real estate investor and get passive income for my family and I, but by me helping people who've done it for 20 years, you're just next level at that point. You're kind of above the beginner investor because, hey, I've already heard these terms and I've already seen these type of houses and I know these plumbers to call, and it works a little bit easier. So a lot of selling houses, and lately a lot of buying houses on my own too.
That's awesome, man. Yep. I love that story. And so for me, I did have a little bit of a crash course in real estate prior to COVID. So you actually closed your first deal 2 months before COVID hit.
Yep.
Right? So I actually got licensed in June 12th. I kept saying June 17th for the longest time, but then I checked because of our core class stuff.
Right.
And KREC, Kentucky Real Estate Commission, said June 12th. So I always go back and say 6/12
Love it.
of 2019. So I did have a solid 6 months, before 2020, and then obviously January and February.
Right.
But the same for us. Kelsey was a nurse. She still is a nurse.
Right.
But at that time she was in the hospitals. And so for us, we were like, we don't know.
Right.
We don't know what this is going to. She used to come in, and I felt so bad. At that time we had Olivia and Matthew were super young. They were like 2 under 2. And, Kelsey would come home. She would get undressed in the laundry room, immediately throw her clothes in the washer.
Biohazard bag.
Go take a shower, because... That's what they were dealing with, bro. And then I would turn around and go show homes virtually, mask up, all the things that you said. And, that was a really strange time. But if you were in real estate at that time and you had even a minute amount of traction before that, there was like a perfect storm and we rode that wave really up until beginning-ish, middle-ish of last year. And it was honestly like a bull market, as you would call it, because
for sure.
we were like, that was the good time. And everybody now is like, hey, the market's shifting.
Right.
The rates are up.
Right.
The inventory is starting to creep back up, which is nice, but it's still a seller's market.
Right.
Technically.
Right.
And so I'm just curious, because with your new position that you're operating in with us, through the Legacy Network, Kentucky, and eXp Realty, I'm just curious about your take on the market. Just a quick snippet for the agents that might tune in.
Absolutely.
And what you're seeing within our industry right now.
Yep. So I would say the one sentence answer, right? I'm long-winded, so I'll try to save you a little bit. The one,
Me too, bro. I can't show
Will, this is bad news, Will. Just give us a red light when you're So the one sentence answer, and I'll tell this to somebody, not necessarily an agent because they kind of going to know this, but to somebody that's not in real estate, and we get asked that question every day, dude. Every day. How's the market? What's it like? What's going on? So the best way, one sentence way I can give it to you is, in COVID market, we'll call it, people were buying homes because they wanted to buy homes.
There we go. I like this.
In this market, people buy homes only when they need to buy a house.
Right.
So what nothing in 2020 for somebody to say, 2% interest rates? I want a bigger house, cheaper payment. Great, I'll go show you the house. Let's write an offer in 10 minutes. Let's go. Now I'm having more deeper discussions with people. So now it's not necessarily like really quick turnover of transactions and helping people get homes, but now it's more we're sitting down like this and we're moving because you have a new job in Minnesota. So let's sit down and really hash out your next steps and how can we navigate this really weird market. So that's been the biggest change I've seen is we've gone from we've gone from just people, willy-nilly buying houses just because you could and it's cheap, or cheaper, to now you're really only talking to clients, for the most part, that have a true need, right? And I won't go through all these, but in real estate, there's the Ds, right? And some of those Ds are like death, someone passes away, there's normally real estate involved in that. Diapers, people have babies, need to upsize. So divorce is a very unfortunate thing, but it's a huge piece of real estate. So those are the things we're dealing with right now, is those big life events.
Right.
Whereas 2 years ago, it was much simpler. It was much more like, I just want a bigger kitchen. I want a new house. And my payment's going to be cheaper than my house I have now because rates were 2.5%. Right. So
money had never been cheaper.
Never.
To lend.
Never. It was bananas. And I'm sure you've talked about here in the past, it was, there were some clients, dude, I was writing, 10, 15 offers for. Easily. 10 to 15 offers. And good offers.
Do you think that, the Fed has recently stated they're going to start cutting rates?
Saw that.
And so I'm curious if you feel like summerish market next year, when the rates creep maybe back down into the sixes, do you feel like people are going to come out in droves again? Yeah,
so I'm no economist, right? But you can look historically at the Fed, right? They don't always do what they say they're going to do, and there are historical instances, even in the past 5 years, where the Feds have lowered their rate and mortgages have went up. And vice versa. There's been moments where not all the time, but the Feds have upped their rate and mortgages went down. Don't ask me the science behind that. I don't know, but we're
not the Rockefellers. We just sell real estate.
Right. So I just talk to my go-to lenders and they fill me in.
That's
But I do feel, just this morning actually, a gentleman that we'll all meet soon probably here, and he may be on this podcast, was sharing with me this morning that he predicts as a lender and as their big head honcho lender, they do have a literal economist on their staff.
Wow.
So that gentleman told his team of lenders that, hey, Feds are dropping rates, and more than likely, can't guarantee it, but rates are going to be on a very nice, steady decline. We're never going to see an 8 to a 5, right? That's never going to happen.
Right. But it's going to take what I read is 2 years, end of 2025,
Easy.
to even potentially, this is written prediction, not anything set in stone, maybe get back down into the fives.
Yep.
5.5%.
Yep. And the moment that, to answer your original question, the moment that happens,
Yeah.
I'm trying to preach this to every client I possibly have.
Yeah.
And I'm like, buy a house right
today.
Now.
Literally.
Like right now.
Yeah.
Because the moment the rates, now this is me totally guessing, but the moments they dip around 6 or lower, kind of that 5.5, 6 range, the dugout's clearing.
Yeah.
Right? Nolan Ryan just hit somebody with a pitch, and the dugouts are clearing.
I like that.
They're clearing because
I agree.
we both, and Will, you as well, we all have clients, probably a good amount of clients who really are saying, hey, they don't need a house, right? Like I said a minute ago, they don't need a house.
Right.
Yeah, we want to buy one. We don't need one, though.
Yep.
The moment the rates drop or the steady decline of the rates, man, you're just going to see it's going to be an onslaught again. In my opinion, it's going to be an onslaught.
Because even if the rates right now are 5.5%, I probably have a list of 5 to 10 people that would buy today.
Easy.
But solely because of what the rate looks like, and we won't get into everything. There's ways that you can mitigate
That's
that.
a whole other podcast.
Yeah. That's a whole other data-driven show.
Yeah.
But like I said, with that list, they're solely saying, hey, I don't want to buy right now, only because the rates are where they are, and my payment looks like this. And so the driving force behind, similarly, what I'm telling my people now is, if you don't buy now, I predict, and so does bang, 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 bang. We looked at an article yesterday after the sales meeting of Forbes.com predicting and they provided several different sources.
Yeah.
National Association of Realtors chief economist,
Yep.
Bank of America chief economist. Like, we're looking at this, and that's why you should hire an agent.
100%.
We're looking a good agent.
Yep.
We're looking at this. I'm looking at it at least twice a month.
Yeah.
To say, where are we going in our industry, right? And so I just wanted to that wasn't quick, but I did.
Sorry.
No, it wasn't your fault. It was between the two of us. But give a quick synopsis of that.
That's
it.
it.
And you're very knowledgeable about that, and that is why, as we transition now, roll into, you are the director of sales.
Very excited.
With the Legacy Network broken by EXP here in Kentucky.
Yep.
And dude, I can't even believe that you're sitting across from me right now, because this was a completely organic thing.
100%. It was. It's funny, when I left the previous place I was at, not the brokerage, like the actual team.
Yeah.
Totally good. Everything was great. I had no intention of really doing anything else.
And one of the highest producing teams in the country, not just
awesome team.
Yeah.
Awesome team. So I slowly left them, just said, like I mentioned at the top of the podcast, I want to kind of go flap my wings, right, and spread and go and be a solo agent for a while. So. Did that, and then we'll spare you all the juicy details, but organically, we'll just use that word to sum it up. Organically, Chris and I were able to get together and really align our values, is what I'll call it. Align our values and align our business practices, our business ethics, our motivations, our grand vision. Just everything around that, basically.
Yeah.
And it was kind of looked at each other like, why are we not together? You know what I mean? No brainer. So. And I love the title, Director of Sales. Chris and I went back and forth a little bit, and Will as well. Should we call it Director of Sales? Should we call it something else? Because Director of Sales almost seems like suit tie stuffy, right? And if you know me, that's not me. So, but end of the day, that ultimately is the best title for that job. But I want to do an add on there, Director of Sales, and I almost want to add on there, and agent growth, right? Because a big part of what I'll be doing here is not only taking care of agents that are a part of this network. And again, I think it's important to remind, it's not a team, it's a network. So the agents already a part of this network, I'm going to be able to work closely with. I have a one-on-one with one of the agents Monday, already on the team, or on the network, and we're going to talk about his hurdles, his business plan. What can we do together to help evolve him into a better agent, right? What can you do to be more efficient in your business and make more money and help more people and be at home more? Right. Imagine if you could accomplish all three of those.
Right. Does that actually happen?
Yeah, yes, it does happen. It does happen. It's crazy. So super excited for that aspect of it, which is agents already here.
Right.
I want to bring some juice and energy and just synergy, right, to the whole network and say, I'm doing it. I want to bring you with me.
Yeah.
They're already great agents. We know that. Yeah. But if I can bring you with me and just show you something you haven't already seen,
right,
or even give you something to make your day more efficient,
Yeah.
get you home 30 minutes earlier, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that.
Right.
And one of my biggest things is just seeing other people succeed.
Yeah.
One of yours as well,
Right.
which is why I'm sitting here, because we both share that vision. So insanely excited about that. Just growing agents and helping them be better.
Love it.
If they want.
Right.
If they don't want to put that in right now, maybe they work a different job. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm here when you're ready. Just call me when you're ready.
Yeah. And that's one of I'm going to jump in real fast.
Yeah.
Because we talked about our values aligning, and that's why you're sitting here today.
For sure.
And I appreciate that so much, man. Ultimately, I have the belief that if you're a part-time agent, you can become a full-time agent. Mm-hmm. And generally, that's looking at your income, right? Generally. But who am I to tell you that you can't be a highly trained part-time agent that can evolve into a full-time agent? And even as a part-time agent, and this is the conversation I had with Will when we sat down 2.5 years ago, is I said, if I can help you make an extra $20,000 for your family,
right,
and you get great training, I'm with you every step of the way, I'm going to help you, guide you, who am I to say that you can't do that?
Exactly.
Right? And I think that is something that brings the two of us together so well with our values that we have. We have stated values in society, and we have lived values.
Yeah.
Do you actually live out what you say?
Right.
Do you practice what you preach? That's a common saying.
That's right.
And so, for me, over the last couple of years, I want to make sure, man, I practice what I preach. And I want people to come alongside of me that do the same thing.
Yep.
Right? I will never put money in front of a person.
Absolutely.
Right? Money is not my mission. People are my mission.
Yep.
I want to impact people at a high level. And so, really quickly, because I know we're running a little short on time, we talked about the legacy network values and what, how we align and partner in those. But then also, I don't think you would be sitting here if you didn't have the value proposition that EXP has provided to you.
Absolutely.
So when you looked at the EXP Realty model, what appealed to you about EXP?
Man, it is important because it's very different in the best way to other models. So I would say the number one, if I had to give a number, there's lots. If I had to give a number one thing, it's going to be the mix of the Icon agent benefits of a very successful agent in this brokerage, and on the flip side of that, just the support, the training, everything is at your fingertips, basically, right? Everything. Chris and I were in a meeting yesterday on virtual reality. Crazy, right? It was cool. So that part's very cool. It's neat. But at the end of the day, it comes down to multiple streams of income.
Yes, sir.
When you're going to a new place,
as
right?
a real estate agent.
Especially as a real estate agent. Yeah. So I have my real estate profession, my job as a realtor. I have the support with this team. I have my investment properties. And now I get very luckily for me, I get to add an additional stream of income to my family that I almost call a retirement. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah, so that's why they created it.
Yeah, that's basically a retirement. So the stock options, and let me know if I'm going too deep into it.
No, go ahead.
It's a rabbit hole, right? So the stock options, the potential to purchase something that's going to grow in value or ebb and flow as the market does, but ultimately, most things like that grow in value. That's the idea, right? I can never guarantee that.
Right.
But to be able to get those at a discounted price, which again, we'll dive into that different day probably, but to get those at a great price and to be able to sink money into investments in the stock market specifically through EXP, streamlined. Right. I'm a big time I'm gonna do this. Yeah. So when you sit me down and try to have me do stock stuff, I'm out, right? That's too much, too many steps, right? I'm ready to go to the next thing. Yeah. So being able to be here and you can do it per closing, you can do it per when you want, it doesn't really matter. It's so streamlined, and you just, you kind of look back one day, a year from now, and go, oh, I had $50,000 of stocks I didn't even think about, because it's just streamlined coming to me.
Yeah. And it's not all purchased, right? That's one
exactly
of the coolest
things.
Yep. Is that you don't change a single thing about your business plugging into their model.
Exactly.
Right? You're earning, past profits don't ensure future gains. Right. But you're earning stocks, especially in the Icon Agent program, gifted to you, bro.
Yeah.
Like the cap that you pay into as a real estate agent, you understand that language. You have the opportunity to get that 100% back.
Dude, it is the most like when you shared that with me originally, and I was like, I went home, I was like, that just can't be right. I was like, that cannot be right. Like that can't be right. And the more we dove into it and looked at my ability to become an Icon agent, which I feel strongly that I can do that. Everybody in here can do that. The whole team can do that if you put the work in. Whole network, gosh, I quit saying team. So the whole network can do that if you put that work in and utilize what you're good at. The Icon status is pretty much what tipped the cap for me. Like, everything looks so great leading up to it. You know, I'm a creature of habit, so when you're comfortable somewhere, it's kind of easy to stay there. But you know, once Chris starts hitting me with this and this and this and this and this, and oh, by the way, you get all your cap back in stocks, bam!
Right.
That was just, D Wade LeBron. You know that picture where they throw the ball up. So that was my dunk moment right there. I was like, all right, I'm in. I was like, I'm in. So. You just have this whole beautiful full circle of helping people, passive income, supporting other agents, supporting my family, getting your cat back, which in itself deserves its own piece.
Right.
I mean, it's just endless opportunities. And it's funny. I'll end with this right here, so now we got to go. I talked to an agent this morning, the same lady you and I were talking about earlier today. And when I mentioned EXP to her, I got to get used to saying that. I'm newer to EXP. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'm an EXP. It's so funny. Her very next message back to me, she goes, I've heard so many amazing things about EXP. And I said, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Let's hop on a Zoom. I'll tell you what we're doing here. Right. So I just think it's really cool to be a part of this. And man, I could sit here for the next 10 hours and talk about how excited I am to just
so hyped, bro.
Get people to up their level, up their game, and then in return watch them grow with their families and just themselves individually.
Love it. One piece of advice that you would have for somebody right now that may be on the fence or a new agent coming in as to how we can sit down and talk to them about EXP and what you would recommend in that process.
So advice to an agent considering making a move?
Yeah.
Just in general?
Right, or getting into the business with us.
Okay, specifically. Okay, so that's easy, honestly. I would compare it to shopping for somebody to finish your basement. Okay. I would compare it to that, right? I'm a big analogy guy, right?
Yeah, so, I like it. Illustrations are key.
Yes, I'm a big analogy guy. So, you get your basement finished, you're going to have 3 to 4 contractors come in, bid their work, show you what they've done in the past, be very high-level communicators with you leading up to it. So, you're going through there and you're really thinking, okay, I need to look at all my options. So I think shop brokerages, I think that's totally okay to do.
And I encourage
everybody. Should. Yeah, you should. So that part's fine. But I think as a new agent or an agent that's leaving somewhere where you're at, I think it's so important just to come, whether it's here, whether it's a Zoom like we're doing next week with another agent, whether it's meeting for coffee. I went to Honey Bros first time yesterday. Very good.
Yeah, I love Honey Bros.
Yeah, very good. So I think the next step for you, the best advice I can give you is don't be afraid to get out of your comfort level. Like I mentioned earlier, people are just creatures of habit, man. Everybody likes to be comfortable. Yeah. I was very nervous to come over here because it's just a brand new thing. I've been so locked in where I was at. So just making that leap and talking about what can come of it. Yep. Now I'm just over here like, I'm crazy, man. Let's go. I'm jacked
You don't need any caffeine.
Yeah.
So
I've had none today.
You're always on level 100. Yeah. So no,
but that's my advice. Just do it, man.
Yeah.
Do it. Go. It doesn't hurt anything to go listen.
To ask. Yeah.
Hear the opportunity.
Yep.
If you don't like it, that's fine.
Right.
Hope to see you on a cross still.
Yeah,
we'll
absolutely. No hard feelings with anyone. At the end of the day, you're deciding whether or not it's the best fit for you.
For sure.
And we have all the respect in the world for that, but if you're curious, why not have a conversation?
Right? Totally worth it.
Real quick, if somebody wants to reach out to you, get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
Oh man, any way you can find me or Google me, right? That's Google me. So you got my phone number 502-504-1761. You have my email, which I probably check the least of all my things, which is hamhomes LLC@gmail.com.
Yep.
You have all my social media stuff, which is Facebook's just my name. Look me up. That's why I keep looking at this like it's a camera. So you look up my name just on Facebook and check me out there. Instagram, I think I'm Real Estate Mullet Mogul.
Yep.
So cool Instagram page that I never posted on,
Right.
but I will. But you can message me there.
Yeah.
So socials, number, email,
Yep.
or roll up to Middletown.
Yeah.
We'll take
Come
you out
on.
for coffee.
Yeah, we'll bring you to the office, take you out for coffee, lunch,
Yep.
whatever. Awesome, man. Hey, thank you for being on the show.
Love it, dude.
Thank you for being part of the network. I can't wait to see what those rocket fuel brings
Love it,
us
man.
for what we're doing here as well. I'm excited to have you, man. Again, I want to remind everybody that this episode is sponsored by Community Land Title. CLT is a full-service land title and escrow settlement provider here to protect your real estate investments. When you work with their knowledgeable team, you will be guided through the process in a transparent and timely way. See you Friday, Matthew. And also, just like I do at the end of every episode, I want to remind you, you have a gift. It's time to grow in it.